My husband was working at an animal shelter. She was basically brought in there by a couple who had just basically found her in an alleyway, and her nails were pretty much like grown into her paw pads, and she was covered in pee, and she was just a hot mess. And so, yeah, she was brought in there, and the shelter kind of got like an opinion from one vet, and their recommendation was basically like she doesn't have a lot of quality of life, so like the best bet is probably to euthanize her. And they didn't really know like what her issues were from or any of that, and she obviously couldn't walk either, so lots of factors there. And so my husband was like, well, I'll take her home for a few good nights, and of course she just never left. And it was kind of like when we got her home, we like really saw the life in her. Like she was crazy. She was like howling anytime we played music, super food obsessed. And so it was clear like she's been living like this for a long time, and she's kind of figured out her own ways to get around and her own ways to go to the bathroom and to communicate her needs. And so why put her down if she's happy? And here we are 4 years later. When we got her, we obviously knew that something wasn't right, and we kind of got a few different opinions, and there was a lot of different like, it could be like malnutrition, it could be different things. We got to connect with a genetic specialist or researcher at the University of Pennsylvania who was able to basically run a whole ton of blood work for us and everything, and found that she has what's called eye cell disease, which is basically a lysosomal storage disorder, and it pretty much like they can't break down certain molecules, so it all ends up like in the joints and in the eyes. So she has really bad calcium deposits in her eyes that is definitely getting worse with age, and then obviously joints and mobility, so causes her to not really like bear any weight or be able to walk, but other than that she does a pretty darn good job. I always say, like, it's funny to think back now because I remember being like, oh, she's so fragile, I have to be so careful with her and all of this. And now she's still fragile and we're careful with her, but I thought she was like this, super fragile little delicate flower, and she certainly is not. She gets around what she wants, she gets what she wants, she says her way, and she's super special, that's for sure. So King is a very long story as to how we found him. We were actually contacted way back in July of 2021. One person in particular named Tanya was able to pick King up before he got taken by animal control, and she was able to get him to us, and he's been with us since. We did a DNA test, and we had found out that King is actually Rosie's son. They were from the same area, and we knew she had been bred before, unfortunately, and all of that. And so I immediately was pretty positive that it was her baby. Any music playing, especially if it has a harmonica in it, it's like her favorite. She has the song Stand By Me by Ben King is definitely her song, and anytime it is put on, she will start howling. So howling is kind of like her jam. We always anytime we go to a vet appointment, it has to be the song on the car ride home, and so she is a big singer, and she has taught King how to sing as well, which was very interesting at first, but he's got it down. Oh my gosh, they have changed my life so much. I think they keep us adaptable. They keep us, I think they always teach us to see the good in life. So if you look at them and you would think it sucks that they can't walk, it sucks that they can't do all these things, but they figure it out, and they figure out their own ways. And Rosie especially, she's our vocal one, she figures out how to communicate what we need. But yeah, they are the most loving, sweet dogs ever.